Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 55. We are available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys would like to ask us any questions, you can leave a voice message at the Anchor link or in the YouTube comment section. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming news, including Vicarious Visions and Sonic news, and Nintendo news. Then we'll get into our recent activities, which includes anime and the like. Then lastly, we're going to be talking about WandaVision episode 4 and 5, I believe. Spoiler discussion. So yeah, let's first update a news story that literally got updated right after I uploaded the podcast, is that Xbox Live Gold, the changes that we talked about, where they were going to be pretty much increasing them across all boards, is not going to happen. So yeah, I think that people actually voicing their opinion there was valid, and I think that Microsoft got the message that, hey, people don't like it when prices get increased, especially for something like online play. And another thing that people were talking about was how free-to-play games, you needed Xbox Live Gold. So things like Fortnite and Apex, I believe you needed Xbox Live Gold, while with PlayStation, you don't need that. So now they are doing that as well to sort of meet with PlayStation on that level, but yeah, it was definitely very hectic that Friday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like everyone lost it. I mean, like fair, we trashed on Microsoft a bit. Obviously, when this was happening, everyone was. I don't really know why they thought it was a smart idea though. Like they should have doubled the price. Like maybe if they increased it by like $5, people would still be upset, but probably be more willing to like accept it. But they just went full greed mode. Like no, we're going like double their price. So yeah, that was really dumb, and they reversed it immediately. But I just don't really get the point. Like, what was the point in all of this? Like, it's kind of just negative publicity all the way, and I don't see how, like, who thought of this idea and thought it was good. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
Definitely.
I'm happy. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah. Definitely, like, when it comes to Microsoft, especially, it's like, you guys have Windows, right? Like, you guys aren't strapped for cash, like, at all. So I feel like that this is definitely just, like, a greedy move by them.
Yeah, it just seems like really greedy, and Microsoft have been pretty good with their just helping the gamers. You know what I mean? Like they've been very pro consumer. That was the word I'm looking for. Pro consumer. So this move kind of just hit out left field because we weren't used to them being like greedy. But I'm like, oh yeah, they're all greedy. You know what I mean? Like you get reminded that none of these corporations are your friends. They're just a business. Means to an end. So that was sort of a good reminder to be like, yeah, they're all out for your money. It just depends on who has the better service or not. And like I said before, I think Game Pass is still a really good service. I have it, and I use it sometimes, and it's good. You can play the next big AAA Microsoft game for like $10 a month. Yeah, $10 a month. So yeah, that definitely isn't a bad deal. And I think Microsoft has a lot of good things going for them in terms of pro consumerness, but yeah, that was not one of them, and I'm happy they listened to everyone and changed the price because yeah, again, it was not really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was $1 increase for 1 month. I was like, all right, like that's not the end of the world sort of deal. But when they were like, all right, there's no more 12-month, and the $59.99 price point is now 6 months, I was like, that seems a little dumb because, like I said, I think that when you buy those bundles with like the 6 month or the 3 month, it's no different from just getting the 1 month. So yeah, I mean, unless you're playing Xbox Live Gold like that, where you're going to be playing for 6 months at a time, there is a reason to get that. But at that point, you might as well just go and get the 1 month because it was going to be the same amount of money at the end of the day. Also, when you do the 1 month, it's sort of like a reminder when you get that sort of like notification or like that thing on like your credit card statement to be like, oh, I am paying for this stupid thing that I have to pay for if I want to play online for console. So, but yeah, I think yearly subscriptions in general are fine for certain things. Like I don't mind paying yearly for things like Crunchyroll or like Spotify or whatever, because I use that stuff like almost every day. But when it comes to something like this, where it's sort of like an extra thing, I mean, like the other things that I said were also extra things, but when music and anime become like your sort of daily entertainment, then it sort of becomes your everyday norm sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. It's a thing. It's hard to just say. Like, I honestly think they should just get rid of gold at this point and just put it into Game Pass. But whatever. Like, I just don't think Xbox Gold, like both, at least PS Plus, like is offering a lot of things, and Gold just doesn't do that. Like, what do you call it? Game Pass is the one that offers everything now. So I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
see the point in Gold. They should just get rid of it. Move everything to Game Pass, and there you go. You'll be set. um,
Yeah.
but anyway, we got more big news here. Vicarious Visions has merged with Blizzard. And even though Vicarious Visions, they remade Tony Hawk. They did Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Insane Trilogy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they are now merging with Blizzard. So they are basically no more. Like, they're just Blizzard now.
Hmm.
And I think that's kind of unfortunate. I think Insane Trilogy and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 were both like fantastic remakes. Obviously, I don't really have much nostalgia for Pro Skater because I don't really like sports games too much, even though it's not really a sports game. I don't really know how to describe it, but I guess it kind of is. I
Hmm.
was never really into that, but I know the people who did play it loved it. And same go with the Insane Trilogy. That was a fantastic remake of Crash 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of sad to see them just like they're just Blizzard now. We'll see when Blizzard's kind of like they're Blizzard. I don't get too excited when I talk about them anymore, unfortunately. I think there was a rumor that they were remaking a Diablo 2 and they're going to be using the Vicarious Vision people, but I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely sad to see them get merged into Blizzard like that because, like you just said, the Crash Insane trilogy I think was done immaculately. Honestly, I think that
Yeah.
it was done to the best that they probably could have made it. Obviously, there's differences between the remake and the original PS1 games, for better or for worse. And the Tony Hawk Pro Skater duology that they just recently released, I think, was really well received by people who love that series. And I can see why, because Vicarious Visions, they obviously take the care and the time to finish their games and make sure that they are up to tip-top shape and all that stuff. So if they are doing a Diablo 2 remake, I would not be surprised, just because, they have a sort of expertise in remaking older games. But obviously that is just a rumor. But it does suck that they are just getting merged into Blizzard and they aren't, doing their own stuff anymore because, like I just said, the two remakes that they did in the past 5 years have been really, really good and really, really successful for Activision. So them merging them into another subsidiary of Activision is kind of dumb in my opinion, especially since I feel like that Vicarious Visions can make a whole lot of other remakes if they were tasked to do so. So but yeah, Blizzard, I don't get excited like at all talking about them just because I know that they have done a lot of really scummy and really dumb things. But, when Overwatch 2 comes out, I'm sure a lot of people will forget about that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to buy it, but, whatever.
It is
Like,
what it
yeah,
is.
Blizzard definitely doesn't get me as excited anymore. Like, obviously I love all their properties, but, you know, I think Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 have to be really special for people to like start really like giving Blizzard a second chance because they've been pretty bad lately. Again with the whole Hong Kong stuff and just how they treat a lot of their franchises. I still don't forgive them for shafting StarCraft at this point. Like it's still just gone. But we'll see once Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 comes out. But again, it's just kind of a shame that we lost Vicarious Visions, because they're basically just Blizzard now. So we won't really see them do these great remakes ever, I guess. And it's sad because those are like Blue Point, Blue Point are the people that remade Shadow of Colossus and Demon Souls.
Hmm.
They're sort of like that. And I was hoping they would probably make their own IP or their own game at some point because, I think they have what it takes because, all their remakes were fantastic. But again, I guess we would never know what would come out of that. So that's very unfortunate.
Yeah. All right, so next bit of news is a rumor, but it seems to be kind of true. So the prequel studio that did Life is Strange Before the Storm, Deck 9, is being handed over the Life is Strange IP. So there's going to be a lot of like technical, like lawyer mumbo jumbo in here. So from my understanding is that Square Enix owns the rights or the sort of franchise IP for Life is Strange, and Donut sort of just made the game. So the reason why this is coming out is because Tencent put a major stake into Donut, which is like 36 million US dollars, which is kind of insane. So that would allow them to do more self-publishing efforts, have them do whatever weird games that they want to do, like what's it called with Vampire or their most recent title that didn't do so well, and I
The
can't.
mirror one.
Yeah, Twin Mirrors or something like
Yeah.
that. So they have more, I guess, freedom to do what they want, and I guess Tencent saw that in them and gave them a huge bag. So this definitely raised questions about Donut's relationship with the Life is Strange publisher, Square Enix, and they own that IP, like I said, and supposedly they parted ways a long time ago before this Tencent deal was even on the table. So Yeah, I think that so first I wanted to like know your opinion about like Before the Storm like as a game, because I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on it, especially Life is Strange fans obviously when it comes to that game in particular, just because it is a prequel to the first game, and it was only like 3 episodes long, so they weren't able to do as much as they would want. So what are your thoughts on Life is Strange Before the Storm from like what you can
Um,
remember?
I liked it more than Life is Strange 2. I could say that. Again, obviously, it wasn't as good as Life is Strange 1, which I wasn't really expecting that when I was playing it. Because, again, it was shorter. It was only 3 episodes, and, it's a prequel, so there's only so much you could really do.
Hmm.
But I think they did a good job expanding the character of Rachel, was her
Yes,
name?
Rachel Amber.
Yeah, yeah, by giving her well actual character, because you never really meet her in Life is Strange 1 due to reasons that I won't get into. But yeah, you don't really meet her, so it's nice to see her because she has such a big impact on Chloe. That's nice to see like how that happened,
Yeah.
and I thought they did a pretty good job going into that stuff. I can't really remember too much else because it's actually been a while since that game came out.
Yeah.
But I remember liking it. I liked it, and I think Deck Nine has a pretty good idea what makes a good Life is Strange game. And if they can make another one, which I don't know if they will, but if they do make another one, I think it's in pretty okay hands in my opinion. So, especially since I probably wouldn't be saying this if Life is Strange 2 didn't happen or if Life is Strange 2 was better. But since the state of Life is Strange 2 was kind of not great,
Hmm.
I think I'm down with another developer making a Life is Strange game. So.
Yeah. I mean, before the storm was a long time ago, but I thought that game was like pretty good, especially the first 2 episodes, because it really established Chloe and Rachel's relationship, because you really get to see how their dynamic goes from the beginning. And I feel like episode 3 was a little rushed, probably because they only had 3 episodes to work with and they probably wanted a
Yeah.
fourth one. But yeah, I think overall what we got to see of Rachel Amber and actually get to know her character, which transitions into the Life is Strange comic, where you get to see her interact with Max as well in that sort of series, in a different reality, if you will, and seeing how she interacts with Max and all that other stuff, and actually getting to know Rachel Amber in a game, I think was very important, because in Life is Strange 1, it was just like, oh, like she's the girl that's gone missing sort of thing, and Chloe doesn't know where she went, and Max and her are just trying to figure out where she went, if you will. And Deck Nine, I think that for what they did for that game, I think that they actually improved a couple of things within the gameplay and stuff like that when it came to Before the Storm. So with Life is Strange 2 and sort of with the sort of mixed reception is what I get from the general internet opinion. Some people hate the game, some people love it, and I think we're both leaning more towards the negative side, but we're not saying that it's a complete dog game, if you will. Maybe
Yeah.
Damien will. I'm not sure, but
Oh, what for Life is Strange 2?
yeah.
Or it's like it's alright.
I mean,
It definitely more towards the negative, but yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's not complete dog. I could see why people like the game, because it does deal with some themes and some ideas well. It's just that, when we were playing it as it was coming out, there were like month-long breaks, and like I forgot the characters' names, Sean and Daniel. Like going into episode 3, I completely forgot their names. I was like, who the fuck are these characters? God damn it. But yeah, I feel like if you played the game like each episode back to back to back, you probably had a much better experience than we did. But
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate that we can't, go back and sort of replay the game with those sort of eyes. But going back to, Deck Nine and sort of what do I think about them being the sort of IP holders sort of in charge of this series? I'm down, honestly, just because I feel like that if they were to make another Life is Strange game, whether it would be with Max and Chloe, like a game version of like the one ending where you save Chloe over the town, I think that
Yeah.
would be very interesting, as opposed to what the comic book did, if they could do something different with that. But yeah, I think that if they were to do something, it would have to be with Max and Chloe first, and then if they want to do something else with the sort of like characters, like make new ones or go back to Sean and Daniel, who the hell knows, I feel like that at first they should probably start with Max and Chloe, because those two characters are still the heart of this franchise, and people who love Life is Strange love those characters, and I feel like that if they do anything else that isn't them two from the start, it's going to be a little wishy-washy, if you will.
Right. Like yeah, I feel like you could either go like a Max and Chloe thing, Or I honestly think the biggest issue with Life is Strange 2 was the power. Like I've always mentioned this. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think telekinesis was dumb and it should have been something more subtle, and that helps with the the sort of adventure style game that it is. And I've always been like, yo, it should be mind reading. I think that would be sick, and I still kind of stand by that. And sort of just do what Life is Strange 1 did, where you're like in one town doing a thing, so you get to know all these characters better. I didn't like how Life is Strange 2 was always on the move. I know that was its main theme, but it kind of hurt the narrative a lot more since it's really only like Sean and Daniel the whole time. Like, yeah, you have some characters, but you never feel as attached to them as you did in Life is Strange 1 just because you're always in Arcadia Bay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I definitely think there's improvements to do if you do have a whole new cast, and I kind of want a whole new cast again. But if they want to do Max and Chloe again, I'll also be okay with that because obviously I like those characters. So it's really up to them where the future of the series is gonna lie. So I'm pretty interested to see what happens.
Yeah, especially since I feel like Life is Strange, like as a franchise, like this easily could have been like a one-off game and like that was it. Like there could have been no more. But obviously, Square Enix are like, hey, like there's money in this shit, so let's just keep making more games for it, which is understandable, and I'm all for it just because I feel like that there's a lot that you can do with these characters, especially since these characters they feel very much like coming of age, teenagers, obviously within a video game, which I don't think is very common within video games. Like obviously like that's like a trope within like movies and stuff like that because I watch a lot of those coming of age teenage stories where like they're in high school and they're going through shit or whatever, but I feel like within video games you don't have a lot of those kinds of characters, which is why I think a lot of people connect with Max and Chloe in particular in their sort of relationship and dynamic. So Deck 9, I have full faith in you within whatever you guys do. Hopefully you guys get more than just 3 episodes to work with, because I could definitely tell within episode 3 that of Before the Storm that there was a lot that they wanted to do, but they could only do within, 1 episode.
Yeah, and I kind of hope they also kind of ditch the episode format at this point. I'd rather have just the whole game together because again, I think that was also a big issue with Life is Strange 2 was the constant breaks. They kind of really again, it breaks the pace of the story. So if they are gonna do these type of games, I just ditch the episode format. I think it's kind of archaic at this point. So yeah, that I also agree that just either have 5 episodes or just make it one game. I'm kind of tired of the episode format, to be honest.
Yeah,
so.
either, and if you are going to do the episode format, make it weekly, just like what with Tell Me Why. Xbox was like, all right, let's just make this shit weekly, because they probably saw what happened with Life is Strange 2. They were like, oh no, they're like delaying episodes and shit, and like the break's gonna be longer. So just make sure that the game's finished, or if you're gonna do episodes, just do it week by week. So
Yep. So now we got some Nintendo news. Nintendo is replacing the 18-year-old online servers. So yeah, they're replacing. I'm just waiting for the thing to load. They're replacing Next, which was their multiplayer server, and that's been active since the GameCube era. The GameCube era has been active, this thing, and they're replacing it with the NPLN like servers. So I guess like upgrading it. And the first game that actually has used it already is the Monster Hunter Rise demo. I actually played a Monster Hunter Rise demo. I didn't try the online, so I can't really tell you how well it is at the moment. But once the full game comes out, I'll definitely share that on the podcast. As this is very exciting news, I think, because obviously Nintendo Online is straight up dog. Like it's not good. As anyone that has played a Nintendo Online could attest. So it's fantastic that they're actually rolling out like a new server, and I think Monster Hunter is a great game to sort of test it, since just like a fighting game, there's a lot of inputs and all that good stuff. So I think like that's a great test of a game to see how well it would work, So yeah, obviously this is great news. I'm happy Nintendo's finally putting in the money and effort to really update their servers. And I mean, this should have happened a long time ago. I mean, 18 years using the same like architecture is like straight up just like baffling. So I'm happy they're finally getting with the times at least. So
yeah. These multiplayer servers are almost as old as us. We're both 22, and this shit's 18 years old. So kind of crazy, but I'm not surprised that Nintendo has been using the same servers since the GameCube era. And I mean, it shows, because when people play Switch games online, it does feel, somewhat laggy and not exactly stable compared to when you play a game on PC or, something lesser like on console or whatever. So they are upgrading their servers. So that is exciting, but I'm not surprised that they decided to stick around with, the good old, Windows 98 or whatever the fuck they were running on, So, But yeah, definitely exciting to see if there are any changes or differences for people to notice when these servers actually do go up for like the current Switch games and all of that other stuff. Because I feel like that, Nintendo games online is just like something that people don't like think about as much because it's just not a normal thing, which is weird. Like Mario Party Online, like that shit sounds really fun, but it just hasn't happened yet. So yeah, hopefully that we get Mario Party Online, and hopefully the online itself is just better.
I really hope so. Like if they do a Super Mario Party 2 or whatever, that needs online. Like that, like not dumb online, not like oh you can play like a mini game, but only like the 5 we choose or whatever. No, I want like real Mario Party Online. Like I want some good stuff like that. But
Yeah.
if they're gonna do it, I have no idea. It's still Nintendo, so you never know.
Exactly. They kept these servers up for 18 years, but yeah, we'll move on from there. This is something that I found very interesting that I don't think a lot of people are going to be covering. So Nintendo, apparently we're developing TV programs starting with a Legend of Zelda live action TV series for Netflix, but pulled the plug once it was leaked. So this comes from Adam Conover. I don't exactly how to pronounce his name, but he's the guy that you probably seen him on like commercials on like Adam Ruins Everything. He's that guy. So he went on a podcast, the Surfs podcast or whatever, and he pretty much talked about on how back in like 2014, 2015, someone. So he worked at College Humor. I'm gonna try my best to go and get this story right. So he was working at College Humor at the time, and Nintendo approached them to create a Star Fox claymation series, something like Fantastic Mr. Fox, something like that. So he knew about this project, and he knew that Nintendo were making like a TV program sort of thing. And then during this time, I guess someone at Netflix leaked that a Zelda series was being developed, which caused Nintendo to like panic because I think the last like TV shows that they did was like the Super Mario show and like all
yeah.
and, like all of that crap pretty much. So when they were coming back and like it got leaked like almost instantly, they're like, oh shit, like they just pulled the plug on everything because they were scared, I guess, which is kind of weird because one guy literally ruined the chance for like all of these like TV shows for like Nintendo IPs to be created. So that got pulled from College Humor, and like there's other things that he talked about during that like sort of segment within the podcast. Like Shigeru Miyamoto went to the College Humor offices and like he wasn't allowed to go because I guess his like boss said so, which really sucked for him. But yeah, definitely very interesting that today like we could have a Zelda series living on Netflix right now, but like it just didn't happen.
Yeah, that would have been really weird. I just don't really know how a Zelda series would even work. Like, I know there was the cartoon in, like, the 80s, but that was, like, super cheesy. And, like, Link talking. He's like, whoa, hey, Zelda. Excuse me. It's dumb, right? So I don't know how a live-action Zelda series would even work because, Zelda really isn't known too much for its story. Like, there's some good plot elements, but it never really focuses on it. And, Link is sort of just a silent protagonist. I don't really see him ever talking at this point. Even with Breath of the Wild, when everyone else is talking, like it's just, I just can't see Link ever talking at this point. Like that's just who he is. It's like stoic, like blank slate. That's all Link is to me. So I feel like you can't really have a good series just with Link. Maybe you could just focus on Zelda, like actual Princess Zelda. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know how a live action series would actually work for Zelda at this point. I know people really want it for some reason, but I just don't know how it would work. Like even as an anime, I don't think it would really work. I just don't think there's enough to like do. Like what I mean? Like the fun part about Zelda is like doing the dungeons and all that, and that kind of gets lost when you're just watching it, But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it can work as a show, but I can't really see it being entertaining, or not entertaining, but I just don't see it being good. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that just because, Link is the silent protagonist, and the way that Shigeru Miyamoto envisioned Link was that you can place yourself as Link and sort of be in his shoes. And yeah, even like in 2021 with like newer Zelda games, he doesn't talk. So I can see your perspective on that. And a live action Zelda series sounds cool, but like you said, in execution, like how would that exactly work? We obviously don't know the sort of plans of what they had for this Netflix show because this is just coming from a guy who worked at College Humor. So yeah, I mean, I think that if it were to work, he would probably need like someone else besides Link to like sort of, I guess, communicate or sort of move the plot along. But it could also focus on, Zelda and like how Hyrule came to be and all that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, this was back in like 2014, 2015. So this was before Breath of the Wild. So they probably could have like explored so much of the Zelda story. But that probably came into fruition with like the games and like the Hyrule Warriors game and stuff like that. So,
Right.
but oh no, go on. Do you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, like Zelda has a lot of cool plot things, but they like never go into it. Like, I think I mentioned this during the when I was talking about Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. Like, there was so much, like, the Breath of the Wild universe has such like interesting like things going on, and I really expected Age of Calamity to go into that, but it didn't really do anything. So I think Nintendo is just like afraid of story at this point. Like, I just don't see how it would make for a compelling like series if like Nintendo doesn't really want it to be like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe like they would have more creative freedom, but knowing Nintendo, like I don't really know how much they would give them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be weird. That's all I'm saying. Like, it could work, and I would like to see someone try, but if it's good, I don't know. I guess we were just gonna have to see if that would ever happen.
Yeah, if they ever want to jump back into sort of television programming. But I think the Star Fox one was definitely the one that I was very interested in because I could see like a sort of claymation sort of, series with the Star Fox characters going, doing missions or whatever, sort of like a Saturday morning cartoon. I think that could work because there's four of them and, you got the main bad guy, Star Wolf, and all this other stuff. So.
Yeah, it could work. It'd be interesting to see if Nintendo ever dives back into TV.
Yeah.
But in unrelated news, and as we get out of Nintendo news, Google is ending its first-party game development, closing 2 studios. So obviously this relates to the Stadia, as the Stadia is Google's, like, I guess, console, like cloud-based console, and it basically just closed its first-party game development. So a lot of people didn't even know they had a first-party game development studio, but apparently they did, and I think this is just showing that Google is seeing that the Stadia really isn't doing too well, that it's not enough to invest in future titles, I guess, or I guess any titles at all. So they probably had these studios set up. They were probably thinking of like what cool like exclusive IPs could be for the Stadia, but they probably see the Stadia numbers are like dropping by a lot, and they probably just don't see as worth it. As Google does this a lot, where they kind of just abandon like a lot of things if they're not doing like hugely well. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably why they decided to close their first-party game development. I mean, Stadia is still a thing, but for how much longer, I'm not too sure. I don't think Stadia is going to be around for that much longer, if this is of any indication.
Yeah, I think that Google diving into sort of console gaming, and I think that most of the people who are behind Google Stadia, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like that a lot of them were just sort of like high and mighty, like we're Google, like we got this, but like they had people that aren't familiar with the games industry sort of like heading this project, and like it obviously shows because it's not doing so well. Especially when you have a streaming gaming service, which is still kind of new. Like a lot of people still don't understand the concept of like streaming games. And when you're streaming games that you have to pay full price for, it's like, why would I do that when I could just buy the game digitally, which doesn't require streaming, and I could just play the game without having to worry about having a constant internet connection, which was like a thing back or like 5 years ago or something like that with like the whole like DRM or whatever the hell that's called, where like you have to be online consistently for like certain single player games, which is weird. That was like a whole controversy back in the day.
Yeah.
I can't exactly remember which year it was, but it was a thing. And that's sort of like what this is just that you're paying $60 for it, and it's for a platform that not a lot of people are adapting like at all. And I think that if Google Stadia is to survive and live, it has to be on a subscription-based service where it's like $10, $15 a month. I think $20 is pushing it, to be honest, where you have a large library of games. But even if you have a large library of games, you need something to pull people in to your platform, like exclusives, obviously, which is something like Epic Game Store has done, where like they got like exclusive deals with like there's like these free games, or this game is coming onto Epic Game Store first rather than Steam or whatever. So I think that a lot of these like head people at Google Stadia just didn't understand like the history and sort of like the context of the games industry to really fully understand what they needed to do to have Google Stadia succeed, if you will.
Yeah, it's like, and again, Game Pass I think is just a better, like, it's just a better version of this. Like, obviously, you have to download the games, but again, you could play them without any lag or like input delay.
Hmm.
And it's a subscription-based model that's cheaper than like the Stadia. So again, I just think Game Pass is just a better version of this, where it's trying to be like sort of like a Netflix of like, oh, you can just play whatever. Oh, you don't have to download anything. Like that's cool, but like
Hmm.
I don't want to play it if it's gonna have a bunch of lag or like input delay, because that just isn't fun for a game. That could easily ruin a game. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think Stadia was just a little too early. I think once we have better internet like across the country, I think it'll be better. But I still think this technology is like at least like another console gen away until we can start reliably doing this. Like same thing with like what is it called? PS Now, I think.
Hmm.
Like even that has a bunch of issues where it's like it's just like really hard to just play the game because you're doing it over online, and not a lot of people have like a wired connection. A lot of people are using Wi-Fi, and obviously
Yeah.
that makes a whole like other issue. So yeah, I just think Stadia came too early. I think it's a pretty good idea too early, and it's Google, so they're probably just gonna abandon it in like a year like, from now. So yeah, definitely pretty sad for the Stadia.
Yeah, especially for these game developers that were like, all right, well, Google's trying to sell me on this shit. This is Google we're talking about here, so it's got to be good, right? And then they hop on the project and they're like, all right, so all 150 of you got to go. It's like, oh, what the fuck? I just lost my job because I hopped on to this thing that they thought was going to be, pretty good. And it sucks because, now I don't know what their plan with Stadia is now that they closed two first party studios that were probably working on something, hopefully. But yeah, like what you're saying with PS Now, like that has problems because there's certain games where like you can't have like a lot of people on, so like there's like a queue time for it, which I'm like, that's fucking crazy. What? I have to wait for someone to log off the game for me to play this like single player game from like the PS2 era or something like that. Just seems really weird to me. But yeah, streaming games is definitely something too soon still, especially since PlayStation's still struggling with it. Xbox is, they have a model for it, but they can work around that model because they're Microsoft. So
Yeah, it's definitely like interesting to see. Obviously, again, Google's just gonna drop this. But it's gonna be interesting to see when other people do it and like actually support it in the future. So
yeah. So now we got some Sonic news. Good thing that I'm covering this. So first up is Roger Craig Smith is stepping down or got let go. I'm not exactly sure what the terminology is, but he's not. He's no longer voicing Sonic the Hedgehog. So I was around the Sonic community when Roger Craig Smith first came into the sort of like scene and became the new voice for Sonic. And I'm going to be honest, his voice for Sonic was not for me. But obviously, he has been around for so long. He did obviously the most recent Sonic games. He's been in Sonic Boom and all of that other stuff. And, he did a fine job, I will say. I'm not going to say he's my favorite Sonic voice actor just because I think Jason Griffith is my favorite, just because that's just the voice that I grew up with for Sonic. And the new guy that did the Sonic movie wasn't that bad either. But yeah, Roger Craig Smith being let go. I think that this is a sign that maybe Sega's doing the same thing that they did all those years ago, where they brought in Roger Craig Smith and all of the other people, except for what's his name, Mike Pollock as the Eggman voice actor. They literally replaced the entire Sonic cast. I think that they're just gonna do that again and just keep the Eggman guy as well. So
I hope so because Mike Pollock is great as Eggman.
mhm.
Wait, when did he start voicing Sonic?
I
Roger
don't
Craig Smith?
even remember.
Was it
I think
was
it
it
was after.
Colors? Or not
Yes,
Colors?
I think
Or
it
was
was
Colors?
Colors. I think it was right after Unleashed. That was the last Sonic game. The other guy voiced, and then Roger Craig Smith came in, and he's been doing it since Colors. I'm pretty sure. So
Okay, yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Colors. I think. I mean, I think all Sonic voices kind of sound the same. I don't really have a preference. It's always like that cocky, like sort of like yeah, speed's my game. But obviously I also grew up with Jason Griffith. I'm kind of that's the voice I'm most familiar with. But I think he did a good job as Sonic. I don't really have any strong opinion about it. I think he hit all the nails on what Sonic should sound like, and hopefully the next guy also sounds like this. If it's a totally radical different voice, it's gonna be really weird. But hopefully not. Hopefully it's like a pretty normal sounding Sonic, I guess if that's a way to say it. And yeah, it kind of indicates like a new change in Sonic, because usually this happens when Sonic is going through some stuff. So he's having a new voice actor. As we will talk about next, he's gonna have a Netflix show, and hopefully this means with the next 3D Sonic game, it could be something good. Hopefully, maybe. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's been voicing Sonic since 2010, which was Sonic Colors, which goddamn, that game's over 10 years old, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, that's definitely crazy to us because we remember probably.
I remember when it came out.
Yeah, probably remember when it came out, played it, and all that other stuff. But yeah, it is definitely crazy that he's been voicing Sonic for 10 years now, but fortunately being let go. And yeah, the Netflix Sonic series was finally officially announced because it was leaked on the Netflix Twitter, I guess, a little too soon before they wanted to announce it. So it is officially called Sonic Prime, and it is going to have 24 episodes, and it is going to be for kids and fans of Sonic. And also, I think they're going to do some like dimensional stuff, like many different versions of Sonic. I forget exactly what it was because the Sonic Twitter was just like posting like a bunch of pictures with like a bunch of different Sonics in it from like the Archie series, and I was like, is that what the Sonic Prime thing is gonna be like? Just like Spider-Verse but with Sonic? I don't know. But yeah, it is definitely interesting and very fun to see another Sonic show happen, because I think that when it comes to video game characters, Sonic is definitely the easiest one when it comes to like TV shows, and he's been doing it for like many years now, ever since Sonic SatAM and Sonic X, and now Sonic Boom and with Prime. So, and I'm pretty sure Boom ended a while ago, but Sonic Prime is the newest one that they are working on, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully it's good. I mean, I don't really watch, the only Sonic thing I like TV show I watched was Sonic X. So like that was it. And as a kid, obviously now when you watch it, it's like, oh. But I heard Sonic Boom was actually kind of fun. The TV series anyway, not the
Yeah.
game. TV series. I've seen clips of it. It's pretty funny. But hopefully Sonic Prime. Maybe we could get like, I don't know if it's just gonna be like the same design for Sonic. I don't know if it's gonna be like a new design. I don't know. I know people. Again, I was there when everyone's really upset about a Sonic Boom design. So I don't know if they're gonna do that again. I don't know if they're gonna be more just this is just Sonic, like we know him. But it's gonna be exciting. There's probably gonna be a big year for Sonic, maybe either this year or next year. I anticipate probably the next announcement for the next Sonic game this year, hopefully. But again, I'm not too sure. So yeah, so definitely Sonic Team is doing stuff, so that's cool. Or Sega, I guess.
I think next year is Sonic's 30th anniversary or something like
okay.
that.
Or they might do that.
Or maybe it's this year. I forget. Sonic came out in 1991, right? I believe so. So yeah, it should be this year then. This upcoming June is going to be his 30th anniversary. So they probably have some stuff planned. There's probably going to be a new Sonic game by the end of the year. Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be a Sonic fan, if you will.
or it could be bad, depending on how it works.
It could be bad, Sonic Forces wasn't all that good, but Sonic Mania saved it a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, it's, Sonic. All right, so our next and last news story is Ryan Coogler?
Coogler.
Coogler. Okay. It's like Cooper, but Coogler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be developing the Wakanda Disney Plus series. And he was the guy who did Black Panther, right?
Yes, sir.
He's
also working on the sequel, so.
Yeah, it makes sense that he's doing the Wakanda Disney Plus series. I think just to confirm that he is doing it, then yeah, he is doing it. I think a Wakanda Disney Plus series is gonna be very interesting. Same thing with Black Panther too. Gonna be interesting to see what direction they're gonna be going. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. I think Wakanda has a lot of like rich characters. Everyone else in Wakanda. There's a lot of people in Wakanda, so I just think the technology is really cool. There's a lot of cool things you do with a Disney Plus series, and it's gonna be interesting to see how that connects to all the other MCU like Phase 4, I guess we're in. So yeah, this is gonna be very interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely gonna be interesting, just because I think that Marvel is throwing a lot at Ryan Coogler in terms of like projects, because obviously he's developing Black Panther 2, and now he also has this Disney Plus series, and also Marvel has tasked him to work on other shows within like the Disney sphere, I guess. So it could be on an ABC or whatever the hell they're doing. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be on. He definitely has a lot on his plate, I will say. So but yeah, it is definitely very exciting for them to task him with more, because I think that the success of Black Panther 1 is obviously insane with how much it did at the box office and how much people love that movie. So yeah, definitely fun to see that he is working on more stuff with Marvel.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's get into our recent activities. I think I will let you go first.
Okay.
Then we'll just go from there.
All right. So I finally finished Final Fantasy VIII, and yeah, it was all right. I was busy high so with that. I finally finished it. Basically everything I want to say I said last podcast. So if you're really interested in me going in depth there, you could watch that one. Basically the ending is kind of what I expected. It kind of ended in a nice happy note. 7 kind of ended kind of weird. It was very like ambiguous like what happened. This one was a lot more straightforward, and yeah, I thought it was fine. Like I could definitely see why people think this is the weakest Final Fantasy game. I don't think it is. Like there's a lot of parts I do like about it, but I think the negatives kind of weigh it down a lot more. Like if I were to give it a score, it'd probably be like a 7, maybe a 6, depending on how I feel. And I think the thing that really kills it for me is the combat. Like the combat, I think they had it so right in 7, and then this game, just with the level scaling and like just you don't really have to fight anything, really kills it. Like I just didn't find the battles fun at all. Which is, when you're making a JRPG, I think like the battle system is almost as important as the story. I think the story takes a little more precedent, but the making a good combat system is also like very important, since you're gonna be doing that like 50% of the time, probably more.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it had a lot of cool ideas. Pretty ahead of its time for what it wanted to do. I just think it kind of missed the mark, and I think games in the future made use of its systems way better than this game did. But for what it was really good. Like graphics wise for a PS1 game, it looks like fantastic compared to 7. All the FMVs they had, you could tell they had a lot of money after 7, so they had a lot of like really nice CG cutscenes that were really good to see. Music was still fantastic, but yeah, the story was kind of just okay, and the combat I think was just bad. So it kind of leads to something that's just a little mediocre. Like I'll say play it once if you're a fan of Final Fantasy and want to play every single one like I'm trying to do. But if you're like really not too sure, I'll say just skip it. Honestly, like I don't really think you're missing too much. But yeah, I'm glad I played it just to experience it, but probably won't be going back to it anytime soon. So I've also been playing Dead Cells. If you don't know what Dead Cells is, it's a 2D roguelike that came out quite a while ago. It came out like 2018, I think, when it actually came out. And I played it when it was in early access and really liked it. But just like with like a lot of early access games I'll buy, I play maybe like 10 something hours of it, stop, and just wait for new content, and then I kind of just forget about it. So they released a new DLC I think 2 weeks ago or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me play Dead Cells. I only beat it once, like I beat the King or whatever. No, the King's Hand once. So I have beaten the game before, but that anyone that's played this game, that's not like the real end game. Like every time you beat the boss, you get like a boss cell, and then you can make the game harder and harder and harder. I haven't done it up to 5 because I've only gotten 1, but playing it again, it's been really fun. Usually I'm not like again, my favorite roguelites are the isometric ones. Isaac, Gungeon, Hades, those are all fantastic to me. Any other type of roguelite, I kind of bounce off a little harder off because I don't know why. I just like the isometric bullet hell type ones more.
Hmm.
But I think they've added so many different collectibles and weapons that it makes the game feel very refreshing to play. Like there's so many things to unlock, so many things to experience, and I think that's what the game was kind of lacking when it was in early access, obviously, because it didn't have all that stuff. Um, and there's just so many different routes to go through. Like no run could feel the same because you're like, oh, I want to go to this area or this area because so many areas branch off each other. And I really love when roguelites do that. I think Isaac does that really well. Um, and like I think that's the thing Hades is missing, like I've mentioned before, like just branching pathways to make runs different. And I just love seeing it. So yeah, I think Dead Cells is definitely worth getting into if you haven't played it before, or if you have played it before in early access or when it first came out. I definitely say it's worthy to come back to because there's just so much new content, and I'm having a good time with it again. Attack on Titan. I just feel pain. I won't say anything, but I just feel pain. That's all. That's all I feel. It's really good. It's
Uh-huh.
not pain in like pain in a way that the show is bad. I just feel pain, and that's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. It's really good though. I'm really enjoying it. It's fantastic. It's great. Fullmetal
Uh,
Alchemist. Oh
yeah.
yeah, you want to say
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about it?
I'll say some stuff real quick. No
Yeah.
spoilers for Attack on Titan, the final season. It's been good so far. Really, really good. The first, obviously, part of the season we talked about before. Building up to where we are now, and it's still really fucking good. So if you haven't watched any Attack on Titan, you managed to avoid any spoilers on Twitter, get on that shit, because Attack on Titan from season 1 and going forward, like, it's just bangers. Like, it may not be like consistent bangers, but like once you get there, it's good. So
yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it's still, I think, my favorite anime. I mean, obviously I'm gonna wait until it's done, but it's still like, it's still up there. It's still number one for me. And each episode of the final season has been really great so far. So I'm very happy to see it not dropping the ball yet. I know, again, some people don't like how the Titans animated. I think it's okay. You know, obviously I would like it if they were 2D, but you know, nothing you could do about it now. And I think it works okay.
Yeah.
And I finally finished Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. You know, I took a pretty big break from it after it got to the halfway point because you know the PS5 came out and I was busy with school, so I wasn't able to really like catch up with the rest of it. But finally, I've watched all of it, and I have to say it's very good, and I can see why people love it so much. You know, I think the majority of the show is really good. You know, I probably would have given like an 8.5. You know, I was really liking it. World building was really good. And I really liked the characters. You know, there was a lot going on. I just think it was kind of lacking a little bit of a punch. You know, there was some cool fight scenes. You know, like but you know, I'm not like a monkey brain where I need fights every episode, obviously. But you know, I definitely think it was kind of lacking some of that sometimes. Again, I'm not saying there weren't any, but you know, I felt it was just lacking a little bit of the punch. But the last arc is amazing. I love the last arc. It's so good. All the build up and all the things has been leading up to really pays off towards those like last 15 something episodes, and it comes off like every episode in that final arc is just amazing. Like, you know, you get to see all the fights you want to see. You know, all the plot points get resolved. It's just fantastic. I could definitely see why people like it as much as they do after seeing like that final arc, because everything has a payoff and it's fantastic. You know, the animation is fantastic, the fights are fantastic. It's just really good. And yeah, I definitely would recommend it to like anyone that wants to watch like a good anime. Cause you know, I it's a really good like sort of like entryway anime too, because like it's not too like, you know, too weeb, I guess. You know, it's just a good like adventure show with like a lot of fighting and stuff. So I would definitely recommend it if you're not too into anime but want to get started. I think this is a great one to start on, and even if you've never watched it before, just watch it. I can understand why people rate it so highly, and I think it'll be up there for me too if I were to rate my animes, at least top 5 maybe. I don't know. I would need to wait for it to like sort of like calm down in my mind a bit, but yeah, definitely really good.
Yeah. And sort of my thoughts on Fullmetal Alchemist Brother. I haven't finished it yet. I'm on like episode 59, 60 or whatever. So I'm literally on like the last 4 or 5 episodes. But yeah, I share a lot of the same sentiments that Damien has shared with us. Yeah, it's really good. I think that when it comes to shonen, like this is definitely one that a lot of people could go and get into sort of instantly, as to like newcomers of anime, which is why a lot of, I guess, normies watch this because it's on Netflix and like it's kind of easy to watch because once you like get to know like what the world's about and like how the alchemy powers work and everything like that, it does like build upon that and it does get really good. And there is not a lot of characters like in Hunter x Hunter. Like Hunter x Hunter has like so many fucking characters. I can't even name them all if I'm gonna be honest. Like I know obviously like the main cast, but like I don't know like a lot of like the side characters. But within this show, like I can somewhat familiarize myself with the side characters. And sort of like, oh, okay, that's you know, that guy, that's this guy, whatever, you know. Like I'm still like kind of bad with like character names in general, just because, you know, if they're not like the main sort of people, like I don't view them as like as important, which is probably bad. But that's just how I watch my anime. I guess I'm a little bit of a monkey brain in that aspect, but. Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, like you said, the last 15 episodes, everything that it's been leading up to has been really, really good so far. I think the reason why I really like this show and the reason why I was like super into it when I was first watching it is because of these sort of like reveals in the story of like the history with the Elric brothers and the twists and turns that this show likes to take and just like not hold any punches. Like sometimes people just fucking die and I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Like that just happened instantly, but like that's just how life is, you know, like people can just go like that, which is unfortunate. But that's just the reality of things. And Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is really, really good. I think that I can see why a lot of people love it so much and why it's their 10 out of 10. It's probably like their first anime, to be honest, if it is their 10 out of 10, not to like call anyone out, but like in my opinion, I think that right now where I am, haven't finished all of it yet, but I'm definitely feeling like a strong 8, maybe a light 9. I'm not entirely sure, depending on how the last couple of episodes go, but it's definitely like reasons why people love this show so much. So
Yeah, I agree with you there. I probably, I already said, I think I'll probably give it like a 9. Yeah, I'll probably give it like a 9 after watching all of it. I really enjoyed it.
all right. My other activities, I've been playing a lot of Teamfight Tactics. So, I'm not much of a League player anymore, but I still like to use my brain and sort of, interact with the League of Legends characters. So TFT is the perfect game. Being Kofi and my brother Tevin, we all just play ranked and just like not give a shit about like LP or whatever, because we're not that try hard about it. But like if we're gonna play it, there might as well be some stakes there. You know what I'm saying? So we're just like playing it, having fun. I normally obviously go brawlers because that's just the fucking player I am. I like my big tanky boys and just like doing damage. But there are some games where I deviate because the game gave me a chosen Callista, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's pretty much like a 2-star unit like instantly, but it also has a extra attribute to it. So yeah, when I get stuff like that, I try to win streak off that, etc., etc. It's fun. If you played TFT before, I think that this set is not that bad. My only problem with the set is that like once you hit top 4, you're like fucking blessed, because sometimes it feels like people just have like these really cracked and really insane comps that you just like fucking die. And like even when I am in top 4, I'm not satisfied because I still have yet to win a game. My brother on like his first or second game, he won, and I was like, what the fuck? Like no way, right? Like he just had like this insane comp or whatever, which like I think might be a problem. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not like a fucking TFT analyst, but whenever I hit top 4, I'm like, all right, like who's gonna fucking one shot me? Because like it really wasn't like that before. I felt within like other TFT sets, like when you would like hit top 4, you would have like maybe like 2 to 3 units on the board left, but like when I'm getting wrecked and I'm top 4, people are like wiping out like most of my team and they still have like half their units alive or whatever, which is like kind of crazy because I'm like, that didn't happen before, I think. But that could also just be me complaining or whatever, but I'm still having fun with it. It's a nice game to sort of like relax to and just like play music or whatever, just chill with the boys at night. Been reading some manga. So, Maidens in Your Savage Season. This was the anime / manga that I talked about a couple of episodes ago. Maybe not a couple, but a long time ago. It is the anime about these girls in a literature club who are going through puberty. It is funny. It is hilarious. It is very heartfelt. And even as a guy watching it, watching that anime on a high dive was very fun because, just seeing these awkward ass moments of, them just discovering what sex is and like masturbating and all of this other fucking mumbo jumbo was just it was really funny, honestly. It is a very funny anime in the sense that like Rent a Girlfriend is funny within that aspect, but less lewd, like very very much less lewd, but a lot more grounded and a lot more realistic and sort of like what the characters are. So like it's a ensemble cast, so there are a bunch of different girls that you follow, and they all take their have like certain points within each episode where like they focus on them, and the manga, it's obviously like the source material, and I thought the manga was going to tell more than the anime because I thought the anime got cut off at a certain point, but it's actually just the same fucking shit. So I kind of spent like $60 buying the manga for no reason, but I enjoyed reading it. I'm going to be honest. I still enjoyed reading it, and just like, because, like when supposedly, like when you go to bed, you're not supposed to like be on your phone or whatever, but obviously everyone fucking does it. So
right.
What I've been trying to do is like read like manga before I go to bed, and then if I need to like have something to go to sleep to, I put on like a podcast and like don't look at the screen or whatever. So yeah, I've been reading Maidens, and I've literally read all of it. I didn't expect myself to read all of it because the books are kind of thick, but most of the pages are just like stop. Most of the fucking pages are pictures, so like there's not like a lot of text there. But yeah, I've read it and I had a good time with it, just like seeing the moments that would happen in the anime again, but just in the original source material and sort of on how all of that played out. There are still some uncomfortable moments, some hilarious moments that I still laughed at too, but yeah, it is definitely, if I had to say which one you had to read or which one to watch, I would definitely watch Maidens in Your Savage Season if you can, because it is only available on High Dive and not Crunchyroll, unfortunately. It's just a very funny and very good anime if you want to see a bunch of girls go through puberty and just see on how that shit plays out. And even the guys in the show, like they have no idea what the fuck they're doing either. So it is funny watching them and how they interact with all of the girls, and they're all different. Like they all have their own storyline and their sort of arc, if you will. So the other manga that I started reading before I would go to bed is the My Hero manga. So I started at volume 20 because that's where the anime sort of ended last season for season 4. I'm still reading on like the season 4 material just to like, I guess, recap myself in terms of like what happened and stuff, because it's been a long time since season 4 has come out. But yeah, it's still My Hero. Hopefully I'll be able to go ahead and get through that and talk more about it next podcast. But My Hero Vigilantes, I don't think I need to say much about it just because I've reiterated that it is just a My Hero spinoff series with vigilantes, and if that sounds interesting to you, it is fun. It is just, like with My Hero, the anime, but just with the vigilantes aspect, and it's in a manga. So but yeah, that's pretty much everything. So let's get into WandaVision. So we're going to be talking about spoilers because this is available on a streaming platform. So if you haven't watched episodes 4 and 5, you should check those out. I think that WandaVision is really good. Is there anything you want to say before we get into spoilers, Damien?
No, just besides, yeah, it's really good. And, if you're... But that's kind of a spoiler. Just watch it. It's really good.
If you watch Marvel movies, just watch this. It's really good, honestly. So, all right. So let's start with episode 4, which they pretty much like break down the whole what's it called, the blip or whatever.
Yeah, the blip.
So I thought the way they handled it was like super fucking good. I think that episode 4 is probably my favorite episode of WandaVision so far, just because they were able to handle the blip aspect and sort of give Monica more development as a character, because, we obviously know that like she's a foreigner within Wanda's world, which is like now we know everything about like what's going on, especially after episode 5. But yeah, I think that episode 4 really fleshing out the, I guess, real world outside of this sort of like sitcom sort of sphere has been very good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Like, I like whenever they like sort of like go into like the blip and stuff. Even though the name is still kind of dumb, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's just very interesting because obviously the people that got snapped didn't know like, oh, what the hell just happened? Like, it's just like 5 years later or whatever. How long it was, I forgot.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to see how would everyone react and how the person that got snapped would react, and it's just really interesting to see. Obviously, in that example, in that episode, she was with her mom, and then like she died of cancer because she got snapped, but she didn't. You know what I mean? So So I just thought that was very interesting to see how they handled the blip and how well it was handled as well. And of course, it was really cool to see what's happening outside of the TV show as well. Because obviously we all knew something was wrong when we were with WandaVision, so it's pretty cool to see what's actually going on. And there's like this whole thing where I guess Wanda took control of a whole like little town in New Jersey, which is Westview, I think it's called.
Yes,
yeah?
Westview.
So yeah, it's very interesting to see how that, obviously we don't know yet, but like how she was able to take control of this whole town and all these people, so she could like just sort of make her own little bubble in reality, so she could just sort of live her perfect life. I think that's pretty neat to see it from an outside view, outside of like the television show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the way that they like mess with like the aspect ratio within episode 4 and 5, just to like give us like that extra layer to be like, all right, so this is clearly in the outside of Westview, and now we are in the sort of TV show sphere. It is obviously very fun for them to do. Like I said previously, like they are doing things that they can't do within an actual movie format. So I like that they are messing with the TV format in that aspect as well. But yeah, I'm very much liking Monica and all of the other characters that are not, just Wanda and Vision, because I think that what they're trying to figure out and what they're trying to uncover with, Wanda's sort of, I guess, little reality that she created here has been very interesting, like we said.
Yeah, and there's some characters, some other Marvel like movies. Like that girl was from Thor, right? Like the smart girl, like the nerdy girl.
The smart girl. Yep, I'm definitely simping over her. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, it's her, and I think I didn't watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, but the other dude, the Asian guy.
Yeah, the Asian guy. Yeah, he is in Ant-Man 1 and 2, I think.
Oh, was he in 1? Okay, I can't remember.
Actually, maybe not 1. Maybe I'm trolling, but he was definitely in Ant-Man 2. And yeah, he's a great actor. I love him. So
yeah, so obviously they bring some good like comic relief because they're goofy boys and girls, but they also explain what's really going on. Like obviously the whole town is basically taken hostage. Like all the people that appear on the TV show are residents of Westview, as they figure out in episode 4.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else happened in episode 4. Like obviously when you send things in, they would like sort of like transform into like whatever Wanda wants it to transform into.
Hmm.
So that's why what's her, Monica, right? Her outfit changed to like sort of fit the theme of the show.
Hmm.
Same thing when they sent like the drones in, it returns like little like toy drones or whatever. So I thought that was pretty neat to see how powerful Wanda really is. Like she's able to just bend reality to how she wants it to be, and that's pretty scary. So
Yeah.
they're
I
definitely
defi-
setting up for. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. I definitely like this like dynamic of like them turning Wanda into like the actual antagonist for this
Yeah, that's
series.
what I was about to say. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely very cool because, I think that this is the first time in the MCU where we see the protagonist become the antagonist. So, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think they're doing it in a smart way where it's not like, it's more just her own like grief that's really doing it. Obviously, she's
Hmm.
really upset that Vision, died from Thanos. So it's like her way of coping is just taking a whole town hostage and making sure having Vision there just to be like happy. So
Hmm.
I think that's a really neat way to like make her an antagonist, but obviously you feel sorry for her because she like lost like Vision and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess we could just talk about the next episode,
I
where we
mean,
learned that. Oh yeah,
one
yeah.
last thing I want to say is that, episode 4 just like sort of giving us the timeline of like how everything like was figured out and giving us context into like that one scene I think in episode 2 where it was like, Wanda, can you hear me, Wanda? And
Oh yeah.
like giving us all of that stuff I think was very cool on top of seeing on how the blip and all that stuff happened. So another reason why episode 4 is definitely my favorite so far.
Yeah, same thing with the beekeeper guy wasn't really a
Yeah.
beekeeper guy. He was like trying to go in under the tunnel, but his sort of like rad suit or whatever he was wearing just turned into like the beekeeper thing. So I also
Hmm.
thought it was pretty interesting. Also when Wanda just blasts
Oh
friggin'
my god,
Monica out
yeah.
the thing, I'm like, oh my god, she like
Yeah.
punched the crap out of her. Like yeah, that was
Hmm.
pretty cool as well.
She's definitely trying to keep this reality intact. So
Yeah, so in the next episode, we learned that I think that Vision, that's basically his dead body. I guess
yeah.
she's like reanimating at this point. Obviously they showed it in episode 4 when it showed like a zombie Vision for like a second, which
Hmm.
was kind of creepy. But in this episode we learned that Wanda kind of just broke into the Sword's like facility and just like, where I'm taking his body, and it's like, there you go. So I guess she found a way to sort of like reanimate him in some weird way. Obviously he's probably not alive, but
Hmm.
he's alive enough to have like some sort of subconscious, since he's sort of to kind of gain aware of what's happening in the world,
Hmm.
in like the WandaVision world. So I think that's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you have anything?
I mean, yeah, I think Vision this episode has been very like cool in a way because he's obviously becoming self-aware, but also when he snaps the other guy that he's working with like out of like whatever the fuck like act that he's pulling, he's like, bro, I need to like find my sister and all of this other stuff. It's only pain. I'm like, bro, this shit's fucked up,
Hmm.
like that's kind of crazy. And then he obviously snaps him back just to like not cause any more attention. And oh my god, when the twin kids like aged up, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, no way, right? Like they just did that like willingly, and then they did it again later for like the dog or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found that to be very interesting. And like now the neighbors, like she's getting in on like everything. Oh my god, that moment when she was like, do you want me to like go back from the top or whatever? I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, no, this shit getting weird, dog. But I'm all in, like I'm obviously all in because this is just what the show is. It is, obviously a Marvel show, but it is also sort of weird, sort of mysterious. And yeah, that like there were definitely a lot of moments within the first part of this episode that I was just like, I'm all in. So
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like, I think the creepiness factor is really high right now. The mystery of what's going on. Like, obviously we know, again, like I said, Wanda's probably just doing this because she's very sad.
mhm.
But it's very interesting to see like sort of Vision, have like basically fights with her also. Like I thought Vision like acting was like really good. You know, I've never really been a
Yes.
huge fan of Vision, you know, cuz I don't think he really gets a lot of screen time, but I thought he did a really good job being like sort of really confused since he doesn't even know how he like, you know, how he died or how he got there. He doesn't even know if he's dead. So I
Hmm.
think that's really interesting to see, and how Wanda is going to have to sort of come into acceptance that he's like dead. So they're probably going to
Hmm.
do that in a very sad way, and I'm really looking forward to that. If anything, it's basically just like I guess like a metaphor for her, like for acceptance, I guess. Like right now she's just like in denial about everything, and she wants to have this whole happy world, but she has to come to acceptance that Vision is dead, and also, as we see at the end, that Quicksilver is there, but
Oh my
not
God.
Quicksilver. Like apparently he is the Quicksilver
From
from
the
the
Fox.
Fox, yeah, from the
Yes.
Fox show. So that's really weird. I don't know if that's some weird thing with like
Multiverse
multiverse shit, or
or
like whatever. That's gonna be very interesting. And if that is the case, that would make a lot more sense if Spider-Man 3 is gonna deal with all the different Spider-Men because multiverse, and they can explain that, you know, they can explain the different actors as just like different you know, universes of Spider-Man. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens. You know, obviously you know when she like fights Sword, when she gets out of her little thing, when she destroys the drone and like makes the whole like hex thing red, is like very ominous.
Hmm.
So and also they didn't call her Scarlet Witch yet, so she's probably gonna get that nickname by
Yeah.
the end of this by this series. So that's very cool as well.
Yeah. I think that was like a news headline that they were going to use the term Scarlet Witch at some point within this series, which is going to be very cool because they were like, does Wanda Maximoff have like a you know, like code name or whatever? And I was like, oh shit, wait, they actually haven't used that yet. But yeah, when, oh my God, that scene with the dead dog, and like she was like, you can't like reverse death and shit. I'm like, the fucking irony here is kind of insane, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like she's supposed to be like, you know, she's telling the boys that like, hey, like don't reverse death. You gotta accept it. But then obviously she's not accepting anything, not even her own reality.
Hmm.
So I think that was pretty interesting. Is also what's her face? Geraldine's very sus or whatever her name. Not Geraldine. What's her name? Agnes, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
she's like
the
super
neighbor.
sus. Yeah, the neighbor's like super sus, cause she like doesn't care when to use power. I don't know if that's part of of Wanda's script or if she's different somehow, but she's acting mad sus. I don't trust her either. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
maybe she snapped out of it like sooner than Wanda even knows about, which is
Yeah.
gonna be kind of crazy if, you know, however this plays out, because I think this series has 9 episodes in total or whatever, so they have 4 more to work with. So there is definitely a lot to happen here. And going back to Quicksilver, so like that moment, you know, like there was a, news headline about what's it called, the the goddamn Wanda actress. I forget her name.
Oh, the Olsen, Elizabeth something Olsen. She's the
Yeah,
Olsen, like
yeah,
yeah.
she is an Olsen. But she said something along the lines of like, WandaVision will have a sort of like Luke Skywalker equivalent cameo, which I guess she knew that it was gonna be this week. So, yeah, I definitely expected the original Quicksilver, you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever his name is, just because, you know, that's my boy. He played Kick-Ass. You know, I think that he is a great actor, but I guess they want to do more multiverse stuff, so they brought in Evan Peters, who did the Fox movies. So yeah, it is definitely going to be very fun to watch episode 6 because, you know, now he's alive apparently, which is kind of weird. And you know, she still has the twins boys running around and stuff like that. So, and then we also have the other factor with the everyone on the outside still trying to figure out how to save these people from Wanda's clutches. So yeah, and obviously with Vision figuring out and sort of having a conscious of his own, being like, what the fuck's going on here, Wanda? Like, I don't even remember my life you know, before Westview or whatever, which, yeah, there's a lot here, and I think that they're probably going to do a very good job sort of wrapping it up within the next 4 episodes or however many are left. So
Yeah, oh, sorry, like knocked my headset. It's
it's
gonna be
all
very
good.
interesting to see what they do, how they solve this mystery, and to see like what's going like that Quicksilver just like drop of like hey, he's just like here's Quicksilver, but it's not our Quicksilver. I'm like, what does that mean? So it's gonna be very interesting to see what direction they're going. It definitely seems like the MCU is definitely going in a weirder direction, which I really like. Obviously with the Doctor Strange movie and again Spider-Man, it's gonna be very very interesting to see how they deal with the multiverse stuff and like how far that's gonna affect the MCU at this point, since it seems to be a pretty big deal now. So I'm very much looking forward to see how this series ends and how it affects the MCU as a whole. Since I'm very much enjoying the series, and it's a good first impressions of how Marvel is gonna deal with like TV shows for their characters. So yeah, I'm very much in, and I'm very much liking it. So yeah.
Yeah, just one last thing. When the doctor, like when she was like they recasted Quicksilver, I was like, no fucking way she just said that. Like that is crazy.
Yeah, we recast Quicksilver. I'm like, yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's kind of fourth wall breaking, but also she's like aware of like who Quicksilver is in her universe or whatever. So, but yeah, WandaVision is very very good. So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Travis and Damian Podcast. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.